All right, welcome back everybody for another deep dive. This time we're looking into fortitude, and we've got some really fascinating material to cover. I mean, we're looking at historical figures, modern figures, even some biblical examples.
Yeah, it seems like fortitude, this concept of inner strength, it's something that every culture throughout history has really valued, wouldn't you say?
You know, it's true. I mean, the word itself, fortitude, comes from the Latin word for strong, right?
Mm.
But going through all this material for this deep dive, it really struck me that it's about so much more than just, physical strength.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely mental and emotional resilience, too. It's that ability to withstand whatever challenges come your way, without just breaking.
I like that. It's almost like the bedrock, the bedrock that helps keep you steady when a storm hits.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. And it makes me think of all those figures throughout history. I mean, you've got Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, Joan of Arc leading armies when she was so young. What do you think it was about their character that really allowed them to persevere?
Well, I think that's where we get to the heart of it, right? It's not just about enduring whatever hardship you're going through. It's about enduring it with courage and purpose. If you look at Mandela, he didn't just sit there and accept his imprisonment. I mean, he used that time, right? To study, to plan, to cultivate his vision for a better future.
So there was an active element to his fortitude, a commitment to something bigger than himself. Which makes me think of another historical figure we looked at, Winston Churchill, leading Britain through World War II. I mean, That must take an incredible fortitude.
Absolutely. Churchill, the pressure he was under, the constant threats, yet he remained such a steadfast leader. He rallied his nation with this unwavering belief in victory. His "We shall fight on the beaches" speech. Perfect example of how fortitude can inspire others.
It's interesting, those examples highlight different aspects of fortitude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have Mandela's commitment to a cause, Churchill's leadership in crisis. Seems like fortitude can manifest itself in many ways.
Exactly. And it's not just those larger-than-life figures either. Think about the healthcare workers during the pandemic, the people rebuilding after natural disasters. We looked at some of those examples. These are ordinary individuals showing just incredible resilience.
That's a good point. Fortitude isn't just for, heroes and historical figures, right? It's something we can all tap into when we're going through our own challenges, whatever those may be.
It's about finding that inner strength, that well of resilience that helps us keep going, even when we feel like giving up.
Speaking of personal challenges, I was really struck by some of the biblical examples. The story of Job, that's a powerful one. To lose everything he had, his family, his wealth, even his health, and still maintain his faith. That's a level of fortitude that's really hard to fathom.
Job's story really highlights that spiritual dimension to fortitude, that ability to find strength in something, outside of yourself, clinging to your beliefs, even when you're going through unimaginable suffering.
There's this unwavering faith in his story that is just incredible. And then, the Proverbs 31 woman, she's described as so strong, so capable, managing her responsibilities, with such grace and resilience.
She's often seen as a model of fortitude in a more everyday sense, right? She's not, leading armies or facing down tyrants or anything like that, but she's navigating the challenges in her own life with strength and dignity.
I love that. And it's interesting, these biblical figures, separated by so much time and context, but they both embody different aspects of fortitude. It's like this concept's been woven into the fabric of human experience for centuries.
And it's still relevant today, right? You see it everywhere. You see it in the athlete pushing through pain to achieve a goal. You see it in the single parent working multiple jobs to provide for their family. It's all around us.
Fortitude, it's as relevant as ever, I'd say. Maybe even more so. The battles are different today, right? We're dealing with social pressures, economic uncertainty, this constant barrage of information.
And that's where the psychological benefits of fortitude become so important. We were looking at sources that talk about increased resilience, enhanced mental health, even improved self-esteem. Fortitude, it's like a buffer almost against all those negative impacts of stress.
So it's not just about gritting your teeth and pushing through. It's about actually making ourselves stronger in the process, more resilient.
Exactly. And as we face challenges and overcome them, we start to believe in ourselves more, right? There's a sense of accomplishment, that boost in self-esteem. We realize we can handle more than we thought we could.
It's almost like every challenge we overcome, it adds another layer to our foundation of fortitude. And speaking of building that foundation, I'm curious about about the practical side of things. I mean, how do we actually cultivate fortitude? Our sources mention things like mindfulness, setting goals, even building a support system. What do you think about those?
Those are all excellent starting points, and that's really what we're going to delve into more deeply in the next part of our deep dive. But before we move on, I think it's important to remember that developing fortitude, I mean, it takes effort. It takes being intentional, being willing to get a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not a magic pill, but it is empowering to know that we can hopefully, cultivate this virtue. It's not like we're just born with a fixed amount of inner strength, right?
Exactly. It means that no matter what life throws at us, we can become more resilient, more courageous, more capable of living a life that's full of purpose and meaning.
And that is a fantastic point to end on for now. I mean, we've really covered a lot in this first part of our dive into fortitude. We've explored its meaning through history, modern examples, even those biblical figures we talked about. And in the next part, we're going to shift gears a bit. We're going to focus on the practical side, how we can actually develop this virtue. So stay tuned. And until then, keep thinking about the power of fortitude and how it might be shaping your own journey.
Welcome back to our deep dive on fortitude. It's been great exploring what it means, how it's shown up throughout history, even those biblical stories. But now let's get a little practical,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all those examples were inspiring and all, but I'm really wondering, how do we actually cultivate fortitude in our own lives? I know the sources mentioned mindfulness, goal setting, and building a support system, but I'm not really sure what all that entails.
Well, and those are great places to start, right? Because you see, the thing is, fortitude, it's not like, this mystical quality you're born with or you're not. It's a skill, just like any other skill that you can practice and strengthen.
Okay, that's good to hear. So let's break it down, maybe starting with mindfulness. How does being more mindful actually help build fortitude?
Well, think of mindfulness as like training your attention. When you're being mindful, you're more aware of your thoughts, your feelings, how you're reacting to things right in the moment, and all that without judgment.
Oh, I see. So instead of getting swept up in, say, stress or anxiety, you're kind of able to just observe it, almost like from a distance.
Exactly, you got it. And that ability to observe what's going on inside, that's crucial for fortitude. Because if you can just observe those difficult emotions, without getting completely consumed by them, it creates space for you to respond in a more measured way.
So you're not ignoring the tough stuff. You're just like approaching it with more, awareness and composure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where meditation can be really helpful, Even a few minutes each day can make a difference.
Okay, so mindfulness, it helps us stay grounded even when things are tough. What about goal setting? How does that tie in with building fortitude?
Well, goals, they give us direction, something to work towards, right? When you have a clear goal in mind, you're more likely to push through obstacles because you have that vision that, that's pulling you forward.
It's like having that North Star.
Yeah.
Right, to guide you, even when the seas are rough. But does it have to be some big, huge, ambitious goal?
No, not at all. It could be anything that really matters to you. Learning a new skill, improving a relationship. Maybe you decide you're going to go for a walk every day. It doesn't matter as long as it's something that gives you a sense of purpose, something you really resonate with.
That makes it seem a lot more doable, actually. You don't have to, climb Mount Everest to build fortitude. You can start small. But what about when you feel like you're really hitting a wall, when things just get really, really hard?
Well, that's where your support system comes in. We talked earlier about those historical figures, right? But even the toughest, most resilient people, they rarely go through stuff completely alone.
Right. Even Mandela had his fellow prisoners, that network of support. So how do we actually build that kind of support for ourselves?
It starts with nurturing the relationships you already have. Your family, your friends, your mentors. These are the people who can encourage you, listen to you, just remind you that you're not alone in this.
So it's about being proactive, letting those people know what's going on, and being willing to accept their help.
Yeah, and it's not just about receiving support, it's about giving it too. Sometimes, helping others through their own challenges can actually strengthen your own fortitude.
That's interesting. So by helping others, we're also helping ourselves.
It's like you're exercising those fortitude muscles, so to speak, by offering a hand. Mm-hmm. And you're building those connections, creating a network where everyone benefits.
I like that. It reminds us we're not meant to go it alone, right? We all need support. Yeah. And giving it to others can actually make us stronger.
And that actually brings us to another aspect of cultivating fortitude that it might seem a bit counterintuitive.
Oh, I'm all ears.
A lot of the sources we looked at, they suggest that we should embrace challenges, like actually see them as opportunities for growth.
Now that is counterintuitive. I thought the whole point of fortitude was to get through those challenges, to just endure them.
Yeah, that's a common misunderstanding. But true fortitude, it's not just about surviving. It's about using those challenges to learn, to evolve.
So instead of seeing them as like setbacks, we should see them as chances to, level up our skills, to become more resilient.
Exactly. You've got it. Think about weightlifting. You have to keep pushing yourself, adding more weight if you want to get stronger, right? Challenges, they're like weights for our fortitude. Every one you overcome, it makes you stronger, better equipped for what comes next.
So it's not about trying to avoid the tough stuff. It's about reframing how we see it.
You got it. And that's when things get really interesting, because when you approach challenges with that mindset, setbacks, they become feedback instead of failures.
So you don't get discouraged. You use those experiences to learn and try a different approach next time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a key part of fortitude, that ability to learn from your mistakes, to adapt, and to keep moving forward, even if you, stumble a bit along the way.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense, but, it's easy to talk about all this, but actually doing it, that's the hard part, right? I mean, staying positive when things are rough, it's easier said than done.
Oh, absolutely. Developing fortitude takes time and effort, and yeah, it requires getting a little uncomfortable sometimes, but the rewards are so worth it.
Speaking of rewards, I'm curious about how fortitude affects other parts of our lives, not just how we handle challenges. Like some sources mentioned, it can lead to a more meaningful life, even bolder decisions. How does that work?
Well, when you have that inner strength, that resilience, it makes you less afraid to take risks. You're more likely to go after your dreams, even the big ones, because you know you can handle whatever comes your way.
So it's not just weathering the storm, it's about setting sail.
Yeah.
Even if it looks a little rough out there.
Exactly. Fortitude gives you that, courage to try new things, to take advantage of opportunities that might have seemed too scary before. It's about facing the unknown with confidence.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about relationships? I know the sources mentioned that a bit. Does fortitude play a role there too?
Big time. Think about it. When you're resilient, when you're emotionally stable, you're so much better equipped to handle those ups and downs, those inevitable bumps that come with any relationship.
So you're more likely to, stay calm and think things through instead of just reacting.
Exactly. Fortitude helps you be more understanding, more empathetic towards other people. You can see their point of view even when you don't agree, and you're more patient working through things together.
It sounds like fortitude just makes you a better partner, a better friend, a better family member, more reliable, more supportive.
Yeah, and it goes even deeper than that, actually. When you show fortitude in your own life, you're inspiring the people around you to do the same. It's like a ripple effect of strength and resilience, It can even impact whole communities.
That's a powerful thought. It's like fortitude's contagious.
It is, in a way. You see someone facing a challenge with courage and grace, and it gives you hope. It reminds you that you have that strength inside, too. And it's not just about inspiring others, either. Fortitude affects how we view our own lives, our purpose, our direction,
Right, we talked about how it leads to a more meaningful life. What does that actually mean?
It's all about purpose. When you build fortitude, you're basically aligning your actions with your values.
Yeah.
You're not letting fear, dictate your choices anymore. You're making decisions based on what really matters to you, what you want to contribute to the world.
So it's about being true to yourself, living intentionally, even when things are tough.
Exactly. Fortitude gives you that strength to stay true to who you are, even when you're facing pressure or opposition. It lets you stand up for what you believe in, pursue your passions, and have a positive impact. And all of that, it leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment, of purpose.
It's almost like fortitude is the key to unlocking our full potential. Which actually brings up another question. If fortitude is so important for all this, for living a meaningful life, making bold decisions, having stronger relationships, how do we actually know if we're getting better at it? Are there signs to look for?
That's a really great question, and it gets to the heart of why these deep dives are so valuable. Because when you understand the signs that your fortitude's growing, well, it helps you see your own progress, and that can be really motivating.
Okay, so what are we looking for? What are some of those signs that our fortitude is getting stronger?
Well, one of the most obvious ones is you're better able to handle stress. Remember how we talked about mindfulness, how it creates that space between you and your reactions? Well, as your fortitude grows, that space gets bigger. You're not so easily thrown off balance when something unexpected happens.
So instead of like panicking or getting overwhelmed, you're able to stay calm and think clearly, even when things are tough.
Exactly. And that lets you make better decisions. You can respond effectively instead of just reacting without thinking.
Okay, so being calmer under pressure, that's one sign. What else?
Another big one is a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. As you develop more fortitude, you're less afraid to take risks, try new things, even if they seem a little scary.
So that fear of failing, it starts to fade away, and we're more open to those growth opportunities like we talked about before.
Exactly. You start to see challenges differently, not as threats, but as chances to learn new things, to push yourself further. That shift in perspective, that's a major sign of growing fortitude.
It's like we become more adventurous,
right?
More willing to explore because we have that confidence that we can handle whatever happens.
That's it. And that actually leads to another sign, greater self-awareness. You become more in tune with, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, what motivates you.
So it's not just about being tougher, it's about knowing yourself better.
Absolutely. And that deeper understanding of yourself helps you make choices that are true to you, even when you're facing pressure or opposition. You're less likely to be swayed by other people, because you have a stronger sense of your own internal compass.
I like that. And I bet that self-awareness also leads to more meaningful relationships.
For sure. When you're grounded in your own values and your sense of self, you can be more authentic in your relationships, more present, more empathetic, and you're better able to set healthy boundaries.
So fortitude helps us with our own challenges, and it also makes us better partners, friends, family members.
It's all connected. And as you continue to develop fortitude, you'll probably notice another shift. You start to feel more grateful.
Grateful. How does that fit in with fortitude?
Well, think about it. You face challenges, you get through them, you come out on the other side, you start to appreciate the good things in your life more. You don't take them for granted anymore. You really savor those moments of joy, of connection.
That makes sense. It's like the tough times make the good times even better.
You got it. And that feeling of gratitude, it actually feeds back into even greater fortitude. It's a positive cycle.
This has been such an incredible conversation. We've covered so much. We defined fortitude. We explored those historical and biblical examples. We really dove deep into those practical strategies for cultivating it.
And as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with this. Fortitude isn't a destination, it's a journey. It's a constant process of growing and evolving.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening, keep exploring this, keep practicing those strategies, and celebrate your progress. Because the more you cultivate fortitude, the more resilient, more courageous, more capable you become of living a truly meaningful and impactful life.
And don't forget, even small steps forward, they make a big difference over time. So be patient with yourself, celebrate those wins, and never, never underestimate that inner strength you have.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom wherever you find it.